Hello, in this video we're going to talk about how to prepare insect specimens in alcohol if pinning, pointing, or spreading aren't the appropriate techniques. So this typically applies to larval or soft-bodied insects. Basically anything that's squishy and isn't hardened, isn't super sclerotized. So this would include things like Zygentoma, Archaeognatha, Ephemeroptera, Thysanura, Thysanoptera, small Dipterans, Trichopterans, Zygopterans, Psocodea, Siphonaptera, and Strepsiptera. And so today I have here some larval mammaliantids. These are called doodlebugs. They are soft and squishy, and so you wouldn't want to put them on a pin because they would shrivel up and would not be useful. So to do this, you're going to need 70% higher or 70% ethanol or higher. You want an appropriately sized container, something like this that has a lid that can screw on and has a little gasket up at the top. And then you're going to want your paper. It should be acid-free, lignin-free paper. And then you should write on it with either pencil or a pen that has ink that won't dissolve in alcohol. Like an Indian ink pen. And then the label should follow the same format as pinned or spread specimens. So it needs to include the country, state, county, GPS coordinates, general location, like the park or the city that you're at, the name of the collector, and the method of collection. And you're going to space it out because you want to cut your label to the correct size. And so for specimens in alcohol, you want it to fit half the circumference of your container and go all the way to the top. And so I went ahead and I already made this label, and it is made to fit in this container. So let's see. Sometimes you have to work it in there. Okay. So you can see right there, it's about half, it goes about halfway through, and it just goes right up against the side nice and flush, and then it also goes right up here to the top. So you don't want to make it too small, otherwise the label will float around in there and cut up your insects, and you also don't want it so big that it's folded. And so now what I would typically do next is place your insects inside. You could also fill it up with some ethanol first. It's whichever works best for you. So I'm just putting these in there. Okay, so now I've got those in there. And now I'm going to grab my ethanol. And I'm going to try to pour it without spilling everywhere. So I may sit this here just in case I spill a little bit. And you're going to want to put the ethanol all the way up right about at the top, not so high that when you turn the lid on it gets everywhere. But you also don't want it to be low. Otherwise it can dry out quicker or your specimens may not be fully submerged. So I'm going to go ahead and try to fill this up. Whew, that may be a little bit too much. Something like that is probably about right. I'm going to put this lid on. And there you have it. So now you can see there's a little bit of an air bubble, so I may go back and add a little more ethanol. But now that label sits nice and flush up against the side. It's easy to read, so you know where, when, and how it was collected. And your insects are going to stay fully submerged, and they're not going to get cut up by the label. And so that is how you prepare a wet specimen.